My wife left me at a restaurant after calling me ugly in front of her friends, leaving the dinner to be paid for by me, she exclaimed loudly as she left. I grinned and patiently waited, as if you should be thankful I even dated you. My phone exploded with 84 missed calls in the morning. On certain evenings you can sense something is amiss before it even begins. Yes, that was my Tuesday night. When Hazel took so long to get ready, I should have followed my instincts. She appeared to be organizing some sort of event, as she changed clothes 3 times and checked her phone every 2 minutes. Military action. However, I didn't. I simply stood in the corridor, fiddling with the collar of the navy button-down shirt she had purchased for me last Christmas. My shoulders appeared wider, and my eyes popped as she stated it. It's funny how compliments may develop into, when you're not looking, into weapons. Are you prepared, sweetie? I jingled my keys and called out. We were already running behind schedule for supper with her employees. Furthermore, I wasn't very excited about wasting my evening engaging in small conversation with those who worked all day poring over spreadsheets and griping about office politics. However, Hazel had been looking forward to this for weeks, continued to stress how crucial it was that I properly meet the gang, claimed it would be beneficial for us to spend more time together as a couple. It was an odd drive downtown. Hazel would usually be talking endlessly about her, asking me about mine or using the radio to play DJ. She chose to sit there instead. Her lips were pulled together, as if she were holding something back as she browsed through her phone. When I inquired if everything seemed cool, she simply nodded and admitted that she was anxious about work-related matters. I purchased it. Hell, I even extended my hand too at a stoplight. She squeezed her hand and assured her that she would be all right and that her coworkers were fortunate to have her. One of those restaurants that tries too hard to appear nice was Marco's Italian Kitchen. Waiters who announced themselves as though they're trying out for Broadway, dim lighting, and cloth napkins. We had previously celebrated our first anniversary there, and it had been ideal romantic even. However, entering that evening felt odd, like if I had entered a courtroom where everyone but me already knew the judgment. Her companions were seated when we got there. Ivy, Jessica, and Brad, an accounting guy I had met perhaps twice. When we got close, they all looked up, and I think I saw their brief glances interchange. Are you aware of the glance people exchange when they're aware of something you're not? Yeah, that one. All right, as usual, I pulled out Hazel's chair and said that, without glancing at me. She took a seat and jumped right into discussion over a project's due date. I tried to join in when they discussed their plans and ordered a beer. Boss, you made several jokes that made people laugh politely. Everything appeared to be typical on the surface, but it seemed like you were sitting on a fault line underneath. When the dinner arrived, it was an expensive pasta dish that tasted. Things began to go sideways at that point, as if it had come out of a box. Ivy was narrating her weekend journey, and in some way it moved to relationships, then marriage, and finally finding the proper person to settle down with. Throughout the entire period, like she was telegraphing something to her pals that I couldn't see, Hazel kept making these glances across the table. Decode. Then Jessica, my dear, who had always been cordial with me at business gatherings, looked, just so. What do you do again? She asked, as if she had forgotten. As in, we hadn't mentioned at their Christmas party 2 months prior, my position overseeing logistics at the warehouse. I could feel the temperature decrease a few degrees, even though it was kept light. At that point, Hazel at last regarded me, truly took a look at me. Furthermore, I didn't see love, adoration, or even simple respect in her eyes. It was something icy and calculating, as if she were evaluating me against an unseen benchmark and determining my shortcomings. To be honest, she added, her voice echoing throughout our small area of the eatery, you're just unattractive. The words resonated like a slap to me, because of how casually she stated things, not because they were accurate or not. As though she was as if ordering dessert, she made a remark on the weather. Her pals began to laugh, really laugh, as if we were in middle school. When I experienced a hot flush, Hazel wasn't finished though. She got up and pushed her chair back a bit, tiny, and threw her napkin upon her mostly consumed plate. A man like you, she exclaimed, raising her voice, ensuring that every word could be heard by the couple at the next table, should be grateful I even dated you. After that she went out without a word. No justification, no farewell, no recognition of the 2 years we had devoted to creating a life together. Her pals hurried to trail behind her. Departing, I sat there with a table full of questions I couldn't answer and barely touched entree. The waitress showed up at my elbow like a ghost, appearing just as uneasy as I was. Sir, will you require the check? $428? Our final supper together cost me that much. My credit card, which was still used for Christmas shopping, was used to make the payment. Debt from purchasing the pricey jewels Hazel had been implying for months. I had steady hands. Since the waiter was not at fault, I generously tipped them as I signed the receipt. The strange thing is that I didn't feel irate. Not quite yet. It seemed as though someone had gone inside my chest and removed everything that was within of me, helped shape who I am. I watched other couples giggle while I stayed there for 10 more minutes. drinking the remainder of my beer, and be normal while sharing dessert. However, something changed in that quiet. Perhaps it was the manner in which the one his wife spilled sauce over her top. The old man at the corner table grinned at her. Perhaps it was recognizing that Hazel had never given me such a look, not even at first. Whatever it was, I smiled to myself. Not pleased, something different, but a smile. Something that is patient. That evening, I left Marco's Italian kitchen knowing that my life had simply altered irrevocably. I simply wasn't sure yet if it was for the better or worse. There was a deafening hush in my car, not the cozy silence you get on a Sunday afternoon while driving with the windows down, but that you want to shout merely to shatter the oppressive quiet that presses against your eardrums. I took a seat there, perhaps 20 minutes in the parking lot outside Marco's, staring at the neon sign, the motor running, and the heat blasting fluttering in the windscreen. Since I left the restaurant, my phone had been vibrating constantly, but I was unable to find the strength to gaze at it. A part of me hoped Hazel was phoning to say she was sorry and that she had gone crazy for a hot minute and desired to return home and have a grown-up conversation about it, but I knew better in my heart. The expression on her face when it wasn't transitory insanity when she called me ugly, planning was included. That was intentional. On the way home, it seemed like I was submerged in motion. Each traffic signal was perpetual. It felt improper at every point, like if I were negotiating the life of another person. I could keep seeing myself in the rearview mirror. The brown eyes are slightly the same. I cracked my crooked nose while playing football in high school. Same face I had been living with for 32 years. When exactly had I become ugly to the woman who used to trace my jawline with her finger when she thought I was sleeping? Our apartment building looked different when I pulled into the parking garage. Smaller somehow, like it had shrunk while I was gone. Or maybe I was seeing it through different eyes. I took the elevator up to the 7th floor, walked down that familiar hallway with the burnt-out light fixture we'd been complaining to management about for months. Funny how you notice details like that when your world's falling apart. Inside, everything was exactly how we'd left it. Hazel's coffee cup still sitting on the kitchen counter with a ring of lipstick around the rim. Her jacket draped over the back of the couch, that stupid throw pillow she'd insisted we needed because it tied the room together. All the little pieces of a life we'd built together, just sitting there like nothing had changed. I loosened my tie and sank into my recliner. The one Hazel always said was too big for the living room, but that I'd refused to get rid of because my dad had given it to me when I moved out. It felt like the only honest thing in the apartment. I stared at the wall where we'd hung our wedding photos, all those smiling faces looking back at me like they belonged to strangers. That's when it hit me, really hit me. Not the anger or the hurt, but the questions. How long had she felt this way? How many times had she looked at me across the dinner table or in bed next to her and thought about how grateful I should be? How many conversations with her friends had started with complaints about being stuck with someone like me? I started replaying our relationship like a movie, looking for clues I'd missed. The way she'd started dressing up more for work, but staying in sweats at home. How she'd stopped posting pictures of us together on social media, but kept taking selfies. The nights she'd roll away from me in bed, claiming she was too tired, but I'd catch her on her phone under the covers an hour later. Around midnight, I got up and made myself a sandwich. Turkey and Swiss on the good bread she bought from that overpriced bakery downtown. Aided standing at the kitchen